What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. It's Scott here with a brand new video all about the best companion perks. Now, of course, this is just completely based on the perks themselves and whether it's worth maxing the affinity for these companions to get their perks. Now, of course, you might just want to max affinity with them because you just like the companion, which is perfectly reasonable. But today we're just talking about whether their perk is actually useful or not. Now, I'm quickly going to go through the ones that I didn't find make the top 3, and I'll briefly explain why not. So we have Hancock's perk, which is Isodoped, which gives you 20% faster critical hit increase if 250 rads or more. All I can say is, basically, who the hell is ever above 250 rads consistently enough to be using the crit regen advantage? You should be healing that up with Radaway. Unless you're some sort of very niche character that uses high radiation and uses it with the Ghoulish perk, but that's a very niche sort of build. For your general player, it's not the best perk. Next we have Valentine's perk, Close to Metal, and this gives you one additional guess at choosing passwords in terminals and 50% faster terminal cooldown and hacking. Basically, hacking isn't very threatening in this game. You just have to wait 10 seconds if you fail. With this perk, you have to only wait 5 seconds and you get an additional guess. But instead of doing this, you could just get an additional guess from the science bobblehead. While kinda cool, it's nothing really much beyond convenient. The Robot Sympathy perk that you will get from Codsworth gives you plus 10 damage resistance against robot energy attacks. It's a very specific situation, it's only a little bit of extra damage resistance, so it's not that super useful. Now, next we have Kate's Trigger Rush perk, which gives you plus 25% faster action point regen if the number of hit points is below 25%. This perk, along with Strong's Berserk perk, which gives you plus 20% melee damage if the number of hit points is below 25%, for the same reason as Nerd Rage, I can't really get behind, basically because it's never wise for your character to be below 25% health, so I never really get a chance to use these because I'll just stim pack and get my health back up, therefore losing the 20% melee damage and losing the 25% faster action point regen straight away because I heal up, and that sort of should be your first reaction. If you're about to die, if you're below quarter health, it's like, quick, heal up. So therefore, I think for most players, you wouldn't really get a lot of mileage out of this perk. Next we have Piper's Gift of Gab perk, which gives you double XP for speech challenges and visiting new places. Now this is pretty handy early on, especially if you're going for some sort of max XP character, but once again, it's not the most necessary thing, but it's definitely one of the more helpful, but it's sort of in the mid-range of helpful. It's just giving you a little bit extra XP. We also have Curie's Combat Medic perk, which heals 100 hit points if the current number of hit points is below 10%. Now, this rarely kicked in because I'd be at like 11% health and then just get one-shotted, not giving the Combat Medic perk a chance to kick in, and generally you should really avoid being below 10% health. Like most of it, at least in my opinion, the game is spent above sort of 40% health, because once I get below that, it's like, oh quick, better stim pack up and heal up. There's no advantage to being that lower health, even if you get your plus 100 hit points, but it acts as a handy fail-safe occasionally. We then have X688's perk called Shield Harmonic, which gives you plus 20 energy resistance, and this is pretty handy. It's just a nice, well-rounded sort of buff. It's nothing really bad I can say about this. 20 energy resistance is always pretty useful, but still not the best. Now, let's get into some of the better perks. We have Dancer's perk, which is Know Your Enemy, and this gives you plus 20% more damage against synths, ghouls, and super mutants. And as you know, synths, ghouls, and super mutants are incredibly common enemies, and you'll be fighting them heaps. A nice big round 20% more damage against them is incredibly useful. It applies to so many situations. It's not specific to a weapon, it's just 20% more damage in general, therefore one of the better perks in my opinion, one of the best. So if you're considering using Dance and maxing his affinity out, I would definitely go for it because he has a very, very good perk. This also works beautifully with Preston Garvey's perk, United We Stand. This gives you plus 20 damage resistance and plus 20% damage if facing 3 or more opponents at once. Now this is an incredibly common occurrence. You'll often find 3 or more ghouls, 3 or more super mutants, raiders, whatever. Most battles generally feature 3 or more opponents, so for those first few kills, you'll be getting 20% more damage, allowing you to cut down their ranks quicker. Also making you a little bit bulkier with the 20 damage resistance is very, very useful. So United We Stand, along with Know Your Enemies, are some of the best companion perks. Next, we have Deacons perk, which is Cloak and Dagger, which increases sneak attack damage by 20% and increases the duration of the Stealth Boy for 40%. Now, the Stealth Boy thing is pretty cool, but the sneak attack damage is the best part of this perk. Now, of course, this is by in no way the best companion perk for any other character besides sneak characters, but for a sneak character, this is fantastic. In conjunction with Ninja, you can get some really nice sneak attack damage. And 20% is a significant increase, especially if you're using melee weapons, which gives you 10 times from Ninja already, then you get another 20% on top of it. So it makes for a pretty beast perk. Now, this one is a funny one, and it would still be pretty good without the glitch that I'm about to explain, but Robert McCready has a perk called Killshot, and this gives you 20% more headshot accuracy in VATS. So considering this without the glitch, it's still a pretty damn good perk. 20% more accuracy, great for snipers, basically any character. I mean, I'm very prone to just shooting at the head because it does lots of damage. So in my opinion, it is a very, very good perk, but here's the main reason you want to get this. As of this very moment, the perk is actually completely glitched. The perk's accuracy bonus actually gives you 2000% more accuracy instead of 20% like it says. So basically, on absolutely every single enemy, you will have a 95% hit rate for a headshot in VATS, which means you can hit that little raider way off in the distance that's shooting you with a sniper. You can just pop out your pistol and go bang headshot from a mile away. So at the moment, while maybe not later, it is technically the best perk you can get. Unlimited headshots is pretty frigging awesome. But if we are talking normally, I would definitely say Dance's perk Know Your Enemy, giving you plus 20% more damage against synth schools and super mutants, along with United We Stand from Preston Garvey, which gives you plus 20 damage resistance and plus 20% damage if facing 3 or more opponents at once. Those two perks work beautifully together and are also just so general. Any character will benefit from them. And then you also have Deacons perk, which is Cloak and Dagger, which increases sneak attack damage by 20% and increases the duration of Stealth Boy by 40%, and this is perfect for any stealth character, especially in conjunction with the Ninja perk. So if you use stealth at all, definitely get Deacon and grab his perk. Now, while Killshot may be the best at the moment because the 95% hit rate in VATS, it may not be later, but this 20% combined with a 25% from the sniper perk is still pretty awesome. So I imagine it will still be pretty good once the glitch is patched. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They're basically my top 4 companion perks: Know Your Enemy, United We Stand, Cloak and Dagger, and Killshot. If you want any little bonus information, in my personal opinion, Preston Garvey and Dan's are these sort of less interesting ones, which is unfortunate because their perks are so good, so you have to play with them a bit to get their affinity high, but Deacon is definitely very interesting and very fun to have around, and so is McCready. So getting their perks shouldn't be too painful at all. And of course, if you've listened this whole way through, I've simply been talking about the best companion perks, not the best companions. Some of my favorite companions didn't really end up having that useful perks. For example, Nick Valentine. He's an awesome companion, and I'd recommend him solely on the basis that he's an awesome companion, not to get his maximum affinity perk. Anyways, I hope you guys found that helpful, and do leave any comments whether you agree or disagree or whatever your opinion is, and sort of discuss in the comments, and yeah, let's talk about it. Anyways, I'm Scott from FudgeMuppet. Subscribe for more Fallout 4 videos like this and Fallout 4 builds, and Fallout 4 Is It Worth It videos, and basically everything Fallout 4 that we can think of. There'll be much, much more coming from us very, very soon. Thanks for tuning in, have a good week, and I'll see you next time.